I'm back with another spooky story. I can't even tell y'all the lesson ahead of time because it's so absurd. But maybe don't sell your pee. Spooky story time. This is what happened to one of my coworkers, and I actually witnessed this in real time. We're gonna call her Mish. So at the time, I used to work at the Gap in the city. At the time, Mish was like 26 and I was 18. I thought Mish was so freaking badass. First of all, I thought she was so beautiful. She's from Jamaica. I remember that about her. It was just something about her vibe. She was very free-spirited. And even though she was Jamaican, she was very much so like, she carried herself like an American girly. Like, she talked like a valley girl and, you know, had friends. But Mish, she never discriminated. She hung out with everybody. She was the life at work. She was the life of the party. She was the life everywhere she went. I started hanging out with Mish and going to the gym with her, so I spent a healthy amount of time with Mish. And I'm not gonna lie, I had a crush on Mish. I had a big-ass crush on Mish. But at the time, she was 26, I was 18, so I was like, whatever. And I was also seeing somebody, so... Point is, after work, me and Mish would hang out pretty often. So much so that we would even link up outside of work to like hang out, go to the gym, get food, like experience just so many different things together. Point is, we built a genuine friendship and I was truly getting to know her for her. So the next set of events that occurred just confused me too. I remember at the time, because Mish would tell me these things, she told me that she, y'all know those fetish websites where you can do something strange for a little piece of change? Well, she met this guy on this app. It was this old African dude, come to find out. I thought he was, when she was telling me the story, but after I come to find out, he was African. Well, she was selling him her urine to drink, and it escalated to her giving him her number 2, if you know. And I thought this was for fetish purposes only, but this story actually takes a very dark turn. Because upon doing that, the Mish I knew and loved lost her mind. Literally. And it is so sad watching your friend go through something like that. In all the years that I've known Mish at that point, like, I'd never seen anything like it, and she scared the living shit out of me. This girl went from being completely fine to having episodes. Like, not knowing who she is, her speech not making sense. Like, I remember one time she took to social media and she was just posting a whole bunch of stuff that didn't make sense. She was beefing with some celebrity for some reason, and she was convinced that she knew Rihanna, and she was getting mad that Rihanna wasn't replying to it. Was some shit, and she posted all of it on her story, and she was being dead ass, like... And then the next few posts would be like she thinks that somebody's after her. And then she would post herself speaking. But none of what she's saying is like in order or making sense. It would be like, I ate 3 fried eggs in the morning and fried pancakes, and I have the key to the city with the pancakes. I went from knowing this super intelligent, just head on her shoulders, strong woman to that. And then this black woman from Jamaica who had a green card turned into a full-blown Trump supporter. Hey, to each their own. She changed her bio to like make America great again. And I just watched this girl plummet. And watching her go in and out of the hospital. And she would come back fine and relapse and go right back in the hospital again. She winded up being so bad that she winded up not being able to keep that job. She was going in and out of the hospital, losing her mind. One day I went to work to pick up my check, and I spoke to one of the coworkers that she was also really close with. She told me that that was Mish's last day and that she just got fired. And mind you, Mish was a manager. And with much regret, this coworker is telling me, I told her not to sell that guy her piss. I told her he was weird. I told her there was something about him. And I said, wait, what? I thought it was a palm-colored guy. She's like, no, he is this African dude. Like, I know he is working something on her. Because the girl was perfectly fine before that point. And come to find out, each time that she came out of the hospital and went back in was because she wanted some cash. So she went right back to giving that man her stuff. And each time, it was like she was a freaking, I don't even know, zombie. As her friend, it was so heartbreaking watching her go through something like this. And I didn't even know really how to be there for her after she comes out of the hospital. She had an episode, she ended up unfollowing me, and then from there, both her and I fell out of contact. I have no idea what is of her today. I hope she's okay. I hope she's well. And yeah, I say that to say, don't sell your pee. Well, that's pretty much the end of this story. Thank you guys. I have another story submission from Zimbabwe. We're gonna call the girl that submitted this story Tana. So Tana says a few years back she was visiting Zimbabwe, and accompanying her was her cousin and a close family friend that she's known ever since she was born. She said for context, both her and the family friend both used to live in Zimbabwe until they moved to Australia. However, the friend did move before Tana. She said one day she went over to her grandmother's village that she used to live at like decades ago. She said the VOODOO tribe. Now you can look up these people to see what type of people they are. I don't know what she means by that. She said it's a very rural place and unfortunately not one of those places where you can let people know what your plans are. Like, needless to say, you shouldn't let people know that you live abroad or that you be traveling because jealousy is really a problem there. So anyway, Tana, the cousin, and the family friend, so they all had gone down to this village where they were only supposed to stay for one night. One night did turn into more because as they were trying to leave, the car that was working perfectly fine when they got there stopped working. So they were forced to stay the night because they couldn't go anywhere. So you know how Tana was with the cousin and a family friend? She said, well, unfortunately, the family friend had moved out of Zimbabwe since they were really, really young. So they don't really have much knowledge about what's basically known out there. Like, you're not really supposed to eat at other people's houses. Tana was taught if other people, strangers, offer you food, you say no. Tana and her cousin both seemed to be on one accord about that. However, it was different for the family friend who didn't grow up in Zimbabwe. So it comes to dinner time and Tana and her cousin, they already know better. They're coming up with excuses as to why they're not eating. They said they have snacks on them, they're really not hungry, and that it was okay. And these people were pushing them to eat and they were like, nah, like, we're good, like, we're full, it's okay. However, the family's friend in particular was so damn adamant on eating. We should call her Big Back for this story because she was hungry. Even though everybody's telling Big Back, no, we don't eat at strangers' houses, we don't do that. Big Back was gonna do what Big Back does, eat. Long story short, the family friend ate the food and everything was cool up until they were about to go to sleep. Tana said, I kid you not, on everything, this girl started acting like she was possessed. This girl is saying that she can see thousands of demons surrounding her. The girl was also saying that she can see the devil and that the devil was here. Proper fear on this girl's face. Sorry. And mind you, Tana knew this girl to be a very nonchalant person. So right now, she's definitely acting out of character. This girl starts speaking in tongues and even saying certain words in their language. She's also becoming extremely violent. Then eventually, she starts to vomit. And at this point, she is vomiting liters of liquid. Like gallons of liquid. And they also said that this liquid was like black mixed with blood, which was not normal. So basically, while all of this is going on, they look over and they notice that there's a cat just chilling in the corner in the room. And nobody noticed this cat because obviously of everything that was going on. But you know how cats are like scaredy? So like whenever they hear like a random noise, like they jump and run away. Well, not this cat. That cat was not budging. It was so creepy that Tana's cousin tried to pick up the cat to like put it outside because it was just there stuck staring at them. And Tana's cousin walks over to pick up the cat and it was so heavy. Like they could not move that fucker. It's as though the cat was glued to the ground. Eventually the cousin was like, nah, there's something up with this cat. I just know it. And in order to get rid of the cat, trigger warning, the cousin walked over and unalived it. And like the second the cat passed, their friend started to go back to normal. Literally instantly. So fast forward to the next day, 2 people from the village just storm into the room angrily. And like these people were pissed. And they were asking like, did y'all kill this cat? Did y'all do something to a cat that was in this room? And the cousin steps forward and admitted, yeah, we got rid of the cat. And these people were livid. They were so mad. They were asking, how could one unalive a cat? The people banished them, told them to get out and never to come back. So come to find out, the reason these people were so mad that they unalived the cat was because it was one of their witch friends. So yes, y'all, the cat was actually a person, a witch. So how could they? And once they unalived the cat, sure enough, someone from the village did indeed. So Tana's cousin might have accidentally murdered somebody. Damn. Double homicide. Now y'all get crazy in Zimbabwe. Thank you, Tana, for submitting this story. I'm back with another spooky story. This one is a submission from South Africa, so let's get straight into it. Ladies, sometimes your in-laws be trying to take you clean out, and you just have to know. So we're gonna call this girl Apple. She meets this guy. We're gonna call him Adam. So now Apple and Adam, they get together and now they're in a relationship. One thing Apple remembers from meeting Adam's family is that they didn't like her very much from the first day. And she thought this was okay and that she could work through this. It's okay to not like her at first, but then eventually she's gonna become a part of the family, especially if they don't break up. And she claims to have a pretty solid relationship with Adam, so there was nothing for her to be concerned about in the first place. She said 3 months into the relationship, she suddenly gets pregnant. So now the family, from her perspective, from Apple's perspective, is forced to have to like her because now she's about to give them their grandbaby, you know? So she moves in the house to carry on her pregnancy. She said upon moving in now, she knew these people didn't like her, but maybe because she was pregnant, it allowed them to be nicer to her. You know, she's gonna bring a child into this world for this family, so, you know, they might as well treat the host with respect. Throughout her pregnancy, everything was going at least good enough. Nothing crazy that she would feel unsafe. I mean, she would overhear the family talking shit about her, but like questioning whether that was his baby or whether she's just a whore. But, you know, nothing for Apple to concern herself with because, like, obviously they're not gonna say any of these things to her face. There was this one person particularly in the family that would, you know, give her like massages and stuff whenever, like, you know, her stomach or her body starts to hurt. She says she doesn't know exactly what it is, but 5 months into her pregnancy, she unfortunately has a miscarriage. She says even though she's always had a healthy pregnancy, at 5 months, she miscarried. And she said that was just baby number 1. Because she went on to try again with her man, and the same thing would happen to baby number 2. They even went for a 3rd time, and the same thing happened on the 3rd try. She carried and lost 3 babies for this man. So by the time it was the 3rd baby, people really started questioning her because it was just like, maybe she's not able to have children. And unfortunately, her boyfriend Adam started to question the same thing too, like, yo, like, this is the 3rd time you've put me through the ringer in the excitement of having a child, and then you don't pull through. Apple was going through depression, anxiety, and so much with, you know, the loss of 3 different, that she started to lose her sense of self. She stopped taking care of herself, and she just walked around their house completely depressed. Her husband didn't want to try again, and at this point, she didn't want to try again either. One day, she was laying around the house, and her husband, with his mom and the aunt and the grandmother in the house, all came to her and told her that she had to leave. But during her worst time, she got kicked out of that house. She said she had to go back in with family, which she thought was the worst thing that could have happened to her at the time. But she says now looking back, that might have actually saved her life. Because after she moved in with her family, they gave her a lot of remedy. They took her to a river to bathe. They sensed that the other family was working witchcraft on her. They made her drink this disgusting cleanse that made her very, very sick for like 5 days. But it was to clear out her reproductive system because it was clogged. She says months after going back in with her family, she started to feel like herself again. She got back together with one of her previous exes, not the one with the murdering family, a guy before him. And she said that upon their first try, she was able to have a child with him. And so now she has a reason to believe that staying in that house, that family was doing something to her that was making her lose child after child after child. People are wicked. South Africa, stand up, because y'all in the building today. That's crazy. Okay, guys, so I'm back with another spooky story. This story takes place in St. Thomas, Jamaica. We're gonna call the person who submitted the story Reese. So when she was 13, one of her older sisters went to go live with her mom in St. Thomas, Jamaica, which is said to be the capital of Obia, apparently. Her older sister already lived in that neighborhood with her boyfriend at the time, and Reese herself used to live with another older sister until that older sister moved to another parish, so now Reese had to find another place to live. And at the time, Reese's mother had just rented a house from one of her church sisters, so perfect. Well, not exactly, because the house turned out to be, dun dun dun, haunted. So Reese says she would be sleeping at daytime and even in the night, so it didn't matter what time of day. The hauntings were haunting. She says as she's sleeping, she can feel her bed levitating. And as soon as she opened her eyes, the bed would drop. So when that first happened, she was so freaked out, she ran and told her mother. And she said, I kid you not, that night she went to bed and had a dream of a man in his late 40s. He was wearing old-fashioned clothes. You talk too freaking much. And when that man said that to her, she would jump out of her sleep. Now keep in mind, her and her mom slept in the same room but just different beds. She looks over to her mom's bed looking for comfort, just to see a carcass of goat heads hovering over her mother in her sleep. I'm pretty sure a carcass of goats means like a shit ton of goats. And out of fear, Reese would just call on Jesus. And because she did so loud, her mother jumped out of her sleep. And as soon as her mother opened her eyes, all the goats disappeared. She said after that, they went to go live somewhere else in the same community though. And Reese says that literal demons would walk beside them when they're coming from night church. Her mom would dream about random people dancing in the living room. And she recalls seeing people walk past her door in the night to go to the kitchen. After living at that second house, her mom sent her to go live with her sister, which was basically across the road. She was able to get her own room there and settle. I decided to not tell y'all not to watch this one at night because y'all don't be listening to my warnings. Thank you so much for watching this story time. If you're from Jamaica, stand up. Y'all got some mysterious magic stuff out there too. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not... Hi guys, so I'm back with another spooky story. I have a story submission from Congo, and this story, I'm gonna call it The Devil's Kids. We're gonna call the person that submitted the story Melissa. Specifically from Kinshasa. If I butchered that, I'm so sorry. She says she didn't always grow up in that part of Congo. She ended up going to Kinshasa for work. This story happened when she was about 19 years old. That when she moved down to Kinshasa, things were definitely tough for her because she couldn't find work. At that point, she had just moved into a room and she was really desperately looking for income. She said one day while she was walking around, she runs into this lady. So as she's walking around, she runs into this lady. And this lady tells her that she has 2 kids and that she's looking for somebody to watch her kids. And she asks her, are you willing to do housework, watch my children, and all of that stuff. Melissa, being desperate, agrees. She said the first time she watched those kids was in that person's house. We're gonna call her the neighbor. She said she went over to their house and the 2 kids were there. They were about 2 or 3 years old. She said the first thing that she notices about those kids was that something about their eyes just seemed off. But nonetheless, she's here to watch them and they're little toddlers. So she says as she's watching the kids, she notices that the kids are moving kind of weird, like a little bit robotic. Like there's something off about their movement. She gets around the house and she starts cooking for the kids. She prepares their food, puts it on the table, and the kids are not eating. She assumes they're probably not hungry right now and they'll probably just come back for the food later. She also notices that the little girl specifically would just sit in this one corner and just stare at this corner. And it seems like there was something going on in the corner that nobody else could see but her. Because whatever it was that she was staring at, she seemed to be fairly amused by it. Think of a kid watching TV, but instead of television, this little girl was staring at the wall. Now, Mel says one thing to mention is that the entire time that she was in the house, those kids did not interact with her once. She said it's like she was there, but she really wasn't there. Because those kids just walked around the house doing whatever they please, and whenever Mel would try to interject, it's as though they couldn't even hear her. So she says she goes back and tries to feed the kids one more time because the food is still on the table. At this point, it's been a while. They're not eating. So she tries to put them to sleep. It's not working. So she leaves the kids in the room to give them a break for now, but definitely these are the weirdest kids that she's ever watched. Mel said right after leaving the kids' room, she doesn't know what happened to her, but she started to feel faint. Like her head was spinning, and it feels like she just needs a nap, like ASAP. So she sits on a chair and she dozes off. And she said that was one of the worst nightmares that she's ever had in her life. Because as she fell asleep, she didn't realize that she fell asleep because she was lucid. And she says the only thing that was different was the house seemed a little bit darker. And out from the kids' room comes out the children. But not just the children, because there was a large figure behind the children that had its hands on both of the kids' shoulders. So it's as though this figure was leading the kids. She said the kids were emotionless as they walked toward her. She said she was horrified, obviously. She said as the kids get closer, she starts to notice something. She notices that out of the girl's ears, out crawls spiders. So there's spiders coming out of her ears. And she notices that the boy's eyes are switching colors, changing from red to deep black to brown, with just rapidly changing color. At some point, the figure stops, takes his hands off of the kids' shoulders, and the kids continue to walk towards Mel. They get to Melissa. As she's sitting there, she's feeling like she can't move because she's so afraid. She said one of the children put her hands on her head while the other one put his hands on her heart. She said the closer the kids got, she started to hear this high frequency. It's like her ears started ringing. So once they finally made contact with her, everything just intensified. She said her ears were ringing so bad, she started to feel like her ears were bleeding. She said her eyes felt so heavy that she couldn't keep them open. And she started to lose feeling in her body. When suddenly she blacked out and all she could hear is just a loud beep. She said she woke up from the dream, and at that point, the kid's mother came back. Kids still haven't eaten, kids still haven't slept. And she had a weird dream about the kids that didn't feel like a dream at all. When the mother comes home, she tells them that she doesn't know what it is, but there's something in her spirit telling her that there's something wrong with the kids. And she said the mother told her, don't speak on something that you don't know anything about. The mother tells her that those kids have actually been born for a very long time. They are much older than they look, by about 16 years. They stopped growing at that age 15 years ago. So needless to say, the lady ran home and she never went back. She said at that point she was so horrified that she just needed to move back in with her family. She said she could not stand to sleep alone. And when she went back to her family and explained everything that she went through with those little kids, they told her that, you know, the kids were probably going to drain your energy to death, right? Because those are demon kids. Mel says she just moved away and just never thought about the day again. All right, thank you guys so much for watching this spooky story. Thank you, Mel, for submitting your story. I tell stories from all over the Caribbean and all over Africa, all over the world, to be very honest with you. So if you have a story that you think is interesting enough that you would like me to tell, feel free to submit your stories by DMing me on Instagram or DM me on this TikTok app. And please don't DM me saying, hey, can I send you a spooky story? Just send it to me. Thank you. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are almost at 15,000 subscribers. On my YouTube channel, I tell longer and better versions of these stories. Duh. If you have not already because you're a fake ass bitch, please go ahead and follow me on Instagram just so that I know that it's real. You're not a fake ass bitch. I'm just kidding. Maybe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out from your favorite Haitian homegirls. I will see you guys in the next video. I'm back with another spooky story, and this one is dream related. So I don't know if you want to watch this before you go to sleep. This one is a dream that my neighbor had. I spoke about how my building was a little bit haunted before, and this was one of the dreams that my neighbor had in her apartment, which is adjacent to mine. So basically, she said that she used to always have problems falling asleep in that apartment. If it's not one thing, it's the other. If it's not hearing babies cry when there was no babies around, then it was hearing people coming up the steps when there's nobody coming home. And keep in mind, we live in a townhouse, so it's only 2 apartments in this building. And at the time, we both lived alone. So it would be weird that at random hours of the night, she's hearing people coming up and down the step. Basically, somebody entering and leaving the building. And also, she would hear people speaking outside her apartment. Again, she would assume that it's me because at the time, I lived here, so it has to be me. I assumed that it was her. It wasn't until we got to talking that we realized, oh gosh, it wasn't either of us. So this particular dream that she had in her apartment, she was laying in bed facing her closet. Now, falling asleep in that apartment has always been a problem for her. Again, because of everything that goes on, like in the building. It's very unsettling. So she closes her eyes, trying to comfort herself to sleep, and doesn't remember the point where she actually fell asleep. So she closes her eyes and she opens it and notices that her closet door in her bedroom is like a little bit open. It's like cracked open. So she's laying down and she's just staring at the closet because it's just very unsettling. She looks around the room, doesn't notice anything in particular, but that it's like darker than usual and a little bit grayish. So she's laying there staring into the closet and she can't really see what's in the closet because it's like completely dark in there. So picture this. I don't know, there's something very unsettling about that to me. So as she is staring at the crack of the closet, out of the darkness of the closet emerges a human dog. Yes, a human that looked like a dog. It had a human head, technically a human body, but it was on all fours. That motherfucker ran out the closet, and my neighbor's just looking at this dog literally running around her room in her apartment, and it looks like it's trying to play with her. And she is horrified. She is freaking out, and as she's freaking out, this human dog just runs out of her room. So she goes to close the closet door, and as she approaches the closet to close it, she notices a figure standing inside of the closet. So she made eye contact with said figure, but the entity in the closet is looking back at her like, wait, you can see me? And my neighbor's shocked. She's just standing there staring at this motherfucker in the closet. And he's like, no, you can see me for real? This is not normal. How can you see me, girl? And it seems like he's starting a conversation with her. It was unknown who was more freaked out, my neighbor or the motherfucker in the closet, when she realized that my neighbor could see him. and the human dog. My neighbor says she literally ran back to her bed, put her blanket over her head, and like literally squeezed her eyes together, and then she woke up. And when she checked the time, her eyes were only closed for about 2 minutes. When she did open her eyes in real life this time, her closet door was cracked, something she didn't notice before she fell asleep. So she would actually get up in real time and actually close that closet without even looking inside of it. So there's different realms and also different dimensions. And sometimes when we fall asleep, we travel into those dimensions. And I think she winded up in a different realm of her bedroom. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoy these spooky stories, please make sure you give me a follow. We are so close to 100,000 people. And a lot of y'all are saying that my videos are not coming up on your For You page, but you guys know my username, so just look up my name. I post a spooky story every other day. So if you don't see me, odds are I probably did post. But I'm black and TikTok doesn't want to boost me. So for longer and better stories, make sure you head over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. And obviously follow me on Instagram just so that I know that it's real. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.